So I'll share two other just because statements with the story that goes behind them. And this first one took place when I just graduated from Stanford University. I moved from California to New Mexico, and I lived in a teeny tiny town called Tesuque, New Mexico, which is just outside of Santa Fe. And it was my first week there. I'm on my mountain bike. I'm exploring the area up these dirt roads, and I chance upon a mailbox, and it says, Elliot Porter. And I think, wait, is that the famous photographer, Elliot Porter? I knew his work because I'd studied one photography class in college, and number two, years ago, he'd actually taken pictures on my grandparents' property in the Adirondacks long before I was born. And so they'd talked about him. Oh, I want to meet him. So I bike back to my little rented cottage, and I draft out a note, crumple it up. It's not right. I draft out another one, trying to get it exactly right. What's the messaging? I try to weave in that I took photography, that my grandparents had met him, and I asked if he might like to meet me, and I would love to meet him. Would he possibly have the time? I bike back, roll it up, slide it into his mailbox, and go back to my cottage. And a few days later, my phone rings. Hello? Yes? Elliot Porter's assistant. Really? Okay. Absolutely. I'll be there. So I show up at Elliot Porter's house at the appointed time. He is the equivalent of Ansel Adams, the color photographer of nature. And it's a moment. He's in his 80s now. He's wearing khaki pants that are cinched at the waist. He's got a white shirt, hair, and he tours me around his studio. Huge drawers with photography paper, a light box, a light table with all the slides on it. And he talks about his career. And then he asks me about mine. And as he's sitting there sorting slides, looking like this, he asks me what's next. And it brings up all this angst, because I've just graduated. And I explained to him, I don't know, I'm not sure what I'm doing, I just got out of college. And I explained that I have this aptitude for academics, that everyone's telling me I should go to law school, I should pursue a master's degree. But what I kind of want to do is the arts. And as I pour my struggles out to him, he stops moving his slides and looks at me with these piercing blue eyes, and he says, just because you're good at something doesn't mean you have to do it. Hit me like a blast of light. It had never occurred to me. I thought if I was good at something, then I should do it. It changed the course of my career, and by extension, countless others, because of the path I chose into the arts. And ultimately, in researching more about him, I found out that his comment was not just off the cuff. In fact, I learned that he had himself gone to Harvard University. He'd studied biochemistry. He then got a medical degree from Harvard University. He then went on to teach and research in Harvard from 1929 to 1939. Somewhere along the way, he got a Leica camera, and Ansel Adams, the famous black and white photographer that we know, encouraged him and said, do large format, do nature in large format color. And little by little, Elliot kept pursuing that. And ultimately, he risked forward, as I would say, and he left his job at Harvard. He was good at it, but he risked forward to follow his passion. Just because you're good at something doesn't mean you have to do it. And what is that for you? Maybe it's a type of photography that you're really good at, and everyone's like, you should do this. You'd make a lot of money. You could expand, have other people. And you're like, yeah, but it's not what sings my soul. Or maybe you're right now with still having a daytime job to support your photography. And maybe little by little, you can take those micro risks to move more and more in the direction, which is why you're here at PPA. to trust yourself, and ultimately move full-time. But you know the answer to that statement in your heart, in your mind, in your soul. Just because you're good at something doesn't mean you have to do it.